Natalia, is it time to start? Or should we wait a couple of more minutes? All right. Okay. Okay, I got the sign that we're good to go. Hello, everyone. Welcome, everyone who came to visit us here at our office, and welcome to everyone listening to us online via streaming. We are super happy. There is such a great turnout to talk about women in tech. So today we're going to have a panel discussion. We invited a wonderful panelist to talk a little bit about their and my humble self's experience as being a woman working in a tech company from various perspectives. So I hope you're going to enjoy it. Let me tell you first a little bit about the agenda of today's meeting. So first of all, I'm going to moderate this discussion a little bit, ask our wonderful panelists some questions. We hope this discussion is going to be as natural as possible. Keep your questions for a bit later. There will be a time when I will be looking if someone from the audience has some questions. You can either ask them personally just by raising your hand here, or Natalia is going to show a QR code for Slido. It's online. It's a website where basically you can type your question and then look at the other questions and upvote them so that we see which ones we should answer the first. So this is more or less what it's going to look like. And then after the official part, after the discussion, we're going to have a small networking event back there. So we're super happy to talk to you, to answer any of your questions, and just to continue this discussion. All right, I think we can start. So I haven't introduced myself. My name is Isa. I work in OLX. It's been 5 years almost. I'm a lead UX researcher, and today I'm going to be a host, almost like in a talk show. So keep your fingers crossed for me. And then we have wonderful panelists. We have Alicia Caralus. We have, I'm sorry, I have to check. Camila Lorenzo, just because the... Lorenzo, yeah, is it okay? Just because the name is Portuguese, and we have Kate Turner with us. Yeah, let me have a quick introduction about the girls. I will be looking at my notes, just letting you know. So let's start with Ali. Ali is the head of product in OLX, and she's been working in product and building products for more than 10 years. Started in startups, worked in a software house, and now she's in OLX, being a head of product, as I said. On a personal note, she says about herself that she was born to ask questions and solve puzzles. And currently, which is super impressive to me, she's working on a puzzle piece of 6,000 puzzles, trying to build the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. So fingers crossed. So that she finishes it, actually, because it's quite a challenge. So hello,
Michelangelo of the challenge, and I'm still not finished.
All right, so this is Alicia. Try to remember her name also if you want to ask a specific question to this particular panelist. Then the next person is Camila. Camila is an engineering manager in motors. It's part of our OLX group. She actually graduated from computer engineering, and she's been working in tech since 2006. Am I correct? Yeah.
17 years. So
all right, that's impressive. And she moved into management in around 2018. She came to us from Lisbon, so we really, really appreciate it and are a bit jealous of the weather, probably. And in Lisbon, she lives with her partner, her dog, and loves to dine out.
Exactly.
Which also I'm not surprised with when you live in Portugal. All right, and then we have Kate. Kate is a senior product manager here in OLX, and she started her tech adventure around 6 years ago in a small startup where she says she worked as a woman of many talents, including marketing. Then she moved into product management, and there she stayed. We are super happy to have her with us, also because she and her team are working on user ratings, which is a very hot topic for us right now. So welcome, Kate.
thank you.
All right, cool. I think I did my short introduction in the beginning, so I will talk a bit more about myself later. So I think we can move on to the first question. Let me just deal with the paperwork. All right, we are a digital company, but paper is still, handy, but making you clumsy a bit. All right, so I gave short introductions about you guys, but why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit more how you started your careers in tech? What's the situation there, and also what does your role here in OLX entail? Like, what do you do? What does it mean that you're a head of product, an engineering manager, or a senior product manager? Thank you, Ali. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me start. So I started similarly to Kate. So I also started my own startup when I was responsible for basically everything except for writing code. And well, it was a failure, but I learned I really love to build products. Although I learned that this is building products a couple of years later when I was trying to apply to another startup for a product manager job. And that's how I broke into tech, I guess. And what head of product means, it means that I'm responsible for growing 6 amazing product managers in my pillar, together with head of engineering. And I'm trying to help their teams deliver impact as close to the product strategy in our company as possible. So that's me. Camila?
Cool, thank you.
Great. You can hear me, right? So, here, Camila. I am an engineer manager, as Isa said, and which means being an engineer manager, I am a manager of a development team. I work close to the product to build features and also work close to my team in order to help them develop their skills and grow in their career as well, and also to find good technical solutions. My journey basically in tech started when I was a teenager, because I always like computer stuff, science stuff, and then I used to mess with my computer to try to fix it by myself. Of course, I failed a lot, but that's it. So long story short, when I needed to decide what I should do, I decided that I wanted to work with tech. I still want, by the way. That's it.
Okay, so a short maybe straightener at the beginning, because as Ali said, I didn't found a startup. I started my career in startup. So a small, correction. But I ended up in this startup by a total accident. I was very desperate to find a job in an office, not somewhere else. And I didn't want to go to this recruitment. So I just, it was a weird place in the city, weirdly communicated. Weird job sounded weird as well. But by accident, I went there. Yeah, people there were very fun. And it was a very, very small company, so you had to be, an orchestraman. So you had to do everything. And from there, I found out that I do like product management the most. And that's how I just pursued career as a product manager afterwards. And what does the product manager do? Well, opposite to Camila and Alicia, I don't manage people, I manage product. So I'm trying to build best products for customers to use.
That's a beautiful definition.
But you also help engineer manager with the team, so you.
Well, yes,
you are,
of course, wherever I can.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, let me finish, as I have a maybe unconventional way of ending up in a tech company. I actually studied English philology, and I was an English teacher for a long time, running my own small business and teaching people. At some point, teaching people from tech companies. And then I said, wow, you do interesting stuff. I'm not interested in teaching you that much as I'm interested in like talking to you about stuff that you work on, like solving your problems together and stuff. Obviously, I didn't know anything to help them, but it was interesting to me. So then I had this enlightenment that I want to change my careers, but I thought I was too old at that point. I was 28, so now I have a different perspective. But I chickened out for a long time, and then I took this step when I was 30. And it's been a super adventure, but I took this step because someone gave me an opportunity. This is also something we're going to talk about throughout this panel, opportunities and finding the right people and believing in yourself and stuff. I was actually teaching in a company in an agency that was doing and still does UX research and design. And I was teaching its director, and I shared my ideas with him, and he offered me an internship. And this is how I started. So, yeah, I'm going to, and now I'm a lead researcher. Yeah, and what does it mean? I don't lead any people. I don't manage anyone. I basically help product managers and heads of product make the right decisions, knowing more about our users, which things to do, which things not to do, how to do them. We figure it all out together, but yeah, that's more or less my role. And from this story, I also wanted to ask Ali a little bit about the change, because it was not that straightforward either for you, right? You had a small change in careers or career plans at some point, right?
Yeah, you can call it a small change. When I was 13, I decided I want to be a lawyer. And from that point, I was doing everything I could to actually get into law school. I got into law school, and after first semester, I knew I should definitely not be a lawyer. So basically, after almost a decade of preparation, I found out that I'm not suited for this role, and I should definitely not work as a lawyer, even though I know how to answer all the questions. It depends. That's the answer, by the way. So if you're looking for it.
That's the same for product.
Exactly. So maybe, you see, so I found a connection, but really who helped me was lady from HR that I was working in the company with, and she said, if you don't know what you want to do everything and decide what you don't want to do, definitely. And from that point, I was 20. From that point, I started doing everything and deciding what I definitely don't want to do, and ended up in startup and doing everything except for writing code. So I'm not sure if that's a good example, but again, Kasia made a really good connection. The answer for a product is also it depends. So maybe in the end, I'm also in the law a little bit.
Probably. You have to convince a lot of people, right? You use a lot of arguments to come to the right point. But you also mentioned someone helping you transition or make the step towards the change. So I was wondering, while we already landed in tech, some of us in a more straightforward way, some of us had a bit longer decision-making process. Did you have someone that took interest in your growth and development, that you felt help you navigate this world, let's say?
Yes, for sure. I think, fortunately, I've met a lot of incredible people during this journey in tech, and I have a good example. I had a mentor. She was a manager at the time. I was a mid-level engineer, and she helped me a lot to how to set up my personal goals, how to give visibility regarding my strength, my weakness, because when I started to to be more aware of my strength, I could also use those strengths to develop myself and overcome challenge and so on. So it was a really good experience, and she shared a lot of tools with me that I still keeping using with my team and with myself, of course. So I think support is something that we really need at the beginning, but also in the middle and in the end of the journey, we need it. So I think, for example, today here at OLX, I think I know that I can count with my peers. They always try to provide good feedback in order to improve myself, and also I know that I can rely on my manager to get good career advices. So yeah, I think I have a lot of people that help me. I can't say one name. I think many people. That's it.
All right. What about the rest of you guys? Do you have any like experience, concrete experience of someone in particular that you think helped you, or was it like, you know, a general thing?
Well, I definitely can say that about my first like very serious job as a product manager, because I was handed over an opportunity when I didn't really had like a lot of experience. So I started in a startup, so I was doing everything, right? Like marketing, sales, some management for the company itself, going to the conferences. So it was literally everything. And then I did have a brief stop in marketing in a software house because I just couldn't land a job as a product manager. And I decided to just be as close to IT as I can, maybe to even move in the same company. And before I went there, with a bit of, you know, bitterness because it didn't work out, I was recruiting to a company that didn't have an open jobs. And I just liked their product, and they were an American company. So I was like, wow, this is a dream come true for a millennial, right? Like work in American company with American people. So I went there, and I tried to get this job. I went through the recruitment. It was awful. But they remembered me because I put some effort in. I even met in secret for a demo with a salesperson from there to just see the product, and they remembered me. So thanks to that, I spent just 8 months in a marketing, which I didn't really like. And then after 8 months, I was able to move to proper IT company to be a proper product manager. And definitely that was an opportunity that was given to me, so I could actually kick it off and be a product manager. Without it, I wouldn't be here so fast, probably.
Sure, thank you. Ali, anything to add, or are we moving on? Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so we're here, we're working, it's a tech world. Let's talk a little bit about challenges. Do you remember any particular, like, more serious, let's say, challenge that happened throughout your career, not only here in OLX, but generally in your career in tech, that you had to face, and could you tell us how you overcame it? Anyone? Alicia, maybe?
Okay, I can open, sure. It was not in tech. However, when I was a person leading a sales team in a techie company to some extent, they were basically in LEDs. So my boss was a man, and most of our clients were men, and they didn't want to discuss technical details with me. And he said that he will not pick up the phone and talk with them, so they will either deal with me or not. And that was one of the challenges that I had to overcome, but really the overcoming part was on my boss side, because he said, no, I will not talk with them. They have to manage. So it was an easy fix from my perspective, right? People were maybe not nice, but they get used to me, so.
So the fix was that your manager said, like, there is no workaround. You have to work with Ali.
Yeah,
okay.
That was the fix.
And why did they listen? Why do you think they listened?
Well, the LED screens were in really good locations, so they really want to put an ad there, and I was in between, so they had to deal with it.
And how was the cooperation after? Well, it was forced. They had to deal with you. So how was it?
Well, I mean, it depends, but give me 3 to 6 months and probably you will like me. I have my good moments, so I guess that's how I won. They were forced, and then we had some time together, so yeah.
All right. I can share a totally different challenge on a more personal note, and very related to the subject of being a woman, and I mean pregnancy. I started working here, and I was super, super happy. And very fast, it turned out that I was pregnant. So I was really, really stressed because it was like the beginning of a job. I didn't want to make a wrong impression and stuff like that. It was still in my probationary period, so wonderful timing for me and my partner, I have to say. But I somehow had a gut feeling that my boss at the time was a nice guy, truly. And I talked to him, and very openly before the probationary period even ended. And he was like, "Oh, Isa, I have 3 kids. The same thing happened with the second one with us. Like, don't worry." And it was really a huge relief. So it's, again, support of the people. So it's not like I dealt with the challenge. He helped me to, let's say, feel secure about my position there. But also what he did when I came back after like 9 months, because I was lucky enough that my partner took 3 months of the like paternity leave so that I could get back to work earlier, which I think, again, companies should encourage men to do as a way to support women and their careers. So when I came back, he made sure I had the exact same position, was waiting for me, so that I came back to the same structure. I knew what my job was, and it was super, super awesome. So I will be forever grateful for him, to him for making this experience really exceptional. Even though it was just my very beginning in the company. And I know it's a huge challenge for a lot of women. I see the conversations on like Facebook groups, like, oh, should I tell, should I not tell, what's going to happen and stuff like that. So it's really important to be supported in this way. This is my secret message to all companies, to hire people who treat women like that. Not only women, but but in this context, yeah. So
do you think, Isa, you would stay in research? Like, you started, it was your first job as researcher, right?
No, it was my second.
Ah, okay. So do you think you would stay in that role if you weren't, if you didn't have this support of your manager, and let's say the situation would be made difficult for you?
No idea. Really no idea. It's an impossible situation to imagine, I think. Yeah, I somehow had a good feeling about OLX, and I don't want to be like a walking advertisement of the company, because it's not the point. It was a particular person that like helped me and supported me. But I don't know. You know, I had a kid I had to earn money for, so maybe I wouldn't have a choice even if it was a difficult situation. And this is what happens to a lot of women. They have to stay in a job, even if they have like terrible conditions. So I feel really privileged it happened this way. And I wish this to everyone. But yeah, let's move on. One of the challenges that very often we face, but not only women, but everyone, are biases, right? Regarding, I don't know, you're a woman or a man, you're older, you're younger, you behave, you're neurotypical or not. Many biases that we can encounter in the workplace and in life general. But I wanted to ask you if you have encountered or you felt that there was some bias towards you for any reason, or you maybe just see the bias existent in the workplace.
I would say yes. It's a mix of unconscious and gender bias. I think since I work technology, and sometimes I feel that when we are trying to hire human in general, people try to focus on the junior position. It's like, oh, there aren't human prepare in senior position, but actually there are a lot. So I think this is a type of bias that I've already faced during my career. Not I faced it, I was not impacted, but I saw the impact when we are trying to have more human in tech. I don't know. Sure.
Well, I
Also.
haven't seen that actually, but I did have a similar issue, let's say. So I started working in tech when I was 25, 24, something like that. So and before that I had some experience, but not in tech, obviously. So then I started to ask for and create opportunities for myself to be able to progress, right? Like I was very focused on getting higher, going into higher positions, having more responsibility. I just enjoy this type of environment. But even though I asked for it and I got it, I had amazing opportunities to work on multiple projects at a time, to manage 2 teams at a time. And it was all because I asked for it, so I can't blame anyone. But I was so sure this will help me progress fast. And I am like almost certain that my age was a problem to promote me in few companies, not just one. So it was like you are not this advanced in age or in experience in your role. So even though you are excellent, you have excellent feedback, everyone is like happy to work with you and you have great impact on the business, this is not the time for you yet. And unfortunately, I do have friends that had the same thing said to them, like, you are just too young, you are missing springs to be promoted. So I don't know if we call it ageism, but something in relation to age, definitely, I definitely experienced it, for sure.
Can I ask a question regarding that? Do you think if you were a man, this also would happen?
Well, again, maybe like Isa said, I will steal her answer, like impossible to say. Did I see it in person? Like this kind of situation where a man wasn't promoted? Not really, because I did work with people, men, that were on higher jobs than me in the same role, and somehow I wasn't. So let's leave it at that.
I know an example of a guy who started really early and he was progressing really fast, but he had to hide his age and he grew a beard and started wearing suits just so that people would treat him seriously, even though he really had a lot to say. So maybe
the
it's
same
an
challenge.
anecdotal evidence. Just one man. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure it's a bigger problem, but it happens. Maybe more for women. I have no idea. No research on that that I read. So.
Yeah.
All right. What about the continuing on this topic, gender biases. We're talking about the workplace, but what about the whole employee life cycle? Do you think that they are more visible on certain stages or steps, let's say, of the whole cycle of like being an employee?
So I can share one particular example I have from our company when I was still a product manager, helping a head of engineering find a person to replace an iOS developer, and we were creating a description for an iOS developer job. And I copied a description from some website and added some just to it to explain more about our team in particular. And we started discussing it, and then he made this point of, are you sure we can put this on the website? Because with all those specific examples and criteria that we have, I doubt any woman would apply. And I guess that's the question to you. How often you apply to the job post that has 10,000 criteria and you have like 5 out of 10. So that's an unconscious bias that a lot of companies does because they are unaware, or often because they are looking for a specific person, but also there's a tendency to be really, really specific in the job description, but at the same time, it can be also a factor that is discouraging for a lot of women.
Yeah, sure. There was even research, right, on that women are less likely to apply if they don't check all the boxes.
There is.
And men are more likely to take the leap and say, like, oh, I will try.
And I think the fact that usually people focus more on in junior position is because of that, because we don't feel comfortable to apply to positions that have a lot of requirements, but we ended up having the same skills as the men. So this is something that might be related. I don't know, but.
So Isa, stealing a little bit from you, but I think that connects not only to the fact of being a man or a woman or identifying as one, but also to something else, right? The imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
3 hours later. we could talk. Yeah, but exactly. I wanted to connect to that because that's an obvious next step. Obviously, not only present in women, in men also. Just maybe they don't show signs, they don't talk about it that much. You know, there might be many reasons. But have you encountered it? And what are your top 3 or 1, whatever, ways to tackle it in your everyday life at work?
Well, have I experienced imposter syndrome? No. I still experience it from time to time. I notice that it's now it's built up if someone is actively and loudly doubting my work expertise, and my immediate reaction is to double guess myself and being like, well, did I actually do that? Is it something that I did? Did I actually misstep somewhere? So this is my auto response of myself. And how do I deal with that? Well, first, of course, the doubtness and sort of sadness kicks in, well, I'm not doing my job well enough. But if I give myself enough time, the anger kicks in. And the anger about feeling not good enough, that someone imposed on me, or just doubting myself. I don't like to doubt myself. So whenever this kicks in, and I do, to get there, I usually have a group of fantastically supporting women around me, and men, of course, too. But I just ask, how do you see this? Do you think it was a mistake or wasn't it? And when I set myself in all that, I do feel much more confident. And this anger definitely helps boost confidence, not only at work. So this is something that helps me tremendously. But I think that main reason that I experienced imposter syndrome across genders, I think just men show it differently. For me personally, and for some of my friends, imposter syndrome, female friends, imposter syndrome is visible as doubting yourself, second guessing yourself, doing your work for 10 more minutes, making sure that you are actually putting this right, or asking your friends, like I said, am I doing this right? Is my perspective okay? But for men, one example that I had experience with recently was just feeling of being not good enough, being this imposter, resulted in attacking me in my job, just to put blame somewhere, right? So it's not easy, and I think it's not easy also for men to say that they don't feel confident for various reasons. And maybe it's a bit more automatic and easier for us to do. which is a shame, of course. But I strongly believe that all of us have the same issue. We just show it differently, and we just conquer it differently.
I'm very jealous of the anger, I have to say. My anger kicks in, but very, very, like, it's a late bloomer. So very often when I'm in meetings and there's someone, especially someone in a senior position, I tend to, like, when they correct me or maybe dare to dare to have a different opinion, or just to show a different perspective, I immediately think, okay, yeah, I was wrong. He must be right? And I'm like, but then I leave the meeting, I think about the facts, and I'm like, I was right, or at least we are both right. But like, it's not like wrong situation, right? But I immediately like, oh, okay, yeah, he's like a more senior position. He's a leader, or and I have a tendency to like go into my shell because I immediately assume, okay, it must be my fault, right? So it's then difficult to come back from this situation if you allow yourself to like say, yeah, you're right. Then you end the meeting, let's say, and then you have to double the effort to come back to the same situation again. So, yeah, believing in yourself, I guess, and thinking about the facts all the way through is something useful for me. And writing down or documenting all of my thoughts and like my thought process helped me tremendously, because then I am sure that, okay, yeah, I took these steps. This is the data that supports it. This is how I made this decision. It helps me to deal with doubting myself, to just write a document. It's as simple as that, but it's a new discovery for me, let's say, like since a couple of years.
Well, anything that can boost your confidence, whatever it is. Like for me, it's like knowing full picture and having all of the ducks in a row, like you said, like following the steps, being very confident in that I made the effort, I researched it, I found the data, and I know what I'm doing. But I think also something that we can all try sometimes is just taking a pause. Like during a meeting, if you see someone making very strong arguments and you are just losing your ground and you can't think of if you are right or if this person is right, I think it could be fun to just say, well, you are making valid points, but maybe let me just circle back. Like I will come back to you. And after a few times, maybe you will not have to. Maybe you will do it on the meeting where you are.
Yeah. And I also at some point discovered that this approach that I was taking before is because imposter syndrome, and because I was, I felt deeply somewhere inside of me that I was being attacked. Whether this person was just expressing a different opinion, a different approach, was asking me where I like got the information and stuff like that, and I was like, he's asking me where I got this information, so it must not be correct. And I was immediately like, and then I thought of myself as a partner. Like, I am the expert in my field, someone else is the expert in the other field. If they are asking a lot of questions, maybe they are just interested in what I have to say or like to understand it. And when I changed, of course, it wasn't like a one click, but like a shift in my mindset. But when I started approaching people with this mindset, it really helped me navigate it and feel like, and deal with these situations on the spot. So yeah. Any other advice on dealing with imposter syndrome? Camila has a lot.
Something really important to say. I must be honest. I'm experiencing imposter syndrome right now. For me, it's super challenge being here talking to you all. So one thing that I used to try to do is challenge myself. Okay, I think I'm not capable. Never mind. Let's go. Let's do it. So I try to keep three things in my mind. So first of them, let's challenge myself. I will do that even if I'm not comfortable. So eventually in a meeting, sometimes I'm not so sure that I'm right, but I will challenge that, or I will put my opinion. I sometimes I try to do. Also, I try to remember that nobody's perfect, so everyone is learning, and everyone are able. We are all able to share knowledge. So it's okay. We are going to fail sometimes, but sometimes you will do things right. So that's life, human. And also try to learn new things, so study. And so these are the three things that I try to do to overcome that. It's not easy, but I try.
That's very brave.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can you add something to the list?
So I guess my one advice and my go-to thing is the question, what's the worst that can happen? It's a simple scenario. And since I think mostly in scenarios, I'm trying to figure out the worst possible thing, and the worst possible thing would be probably for my dog to die, and that's not happening. So everything above that is good.
I will add this on my list. It's really important to keep this in mind.
One thing that I thought about also is I said that I try to document my my thoughts so that I am sure where everything came from. But also my imposter syndrome is and a lot of people's imposter syndrome is related to perfectionism, and like wanting to deliver the perfect solution and then procrastinating, of course, because you never finish, and it's never going to be perfect. And when it's perfect, or when you're finished, you have to show it to people. They will judge it. It will turn out it's not perfect, and the cycle continues. So also challenging myself in a way that I show people the earliest thing that I have in my mind, because it's not scary, like just an idea, and then it's like, okay, how can we build this, and involving people as early as possible, so that I don't go crazy in my mind creating scenarios like what's the perfect solution, but just having an idea, sharing it with people immediately, and then working on it or finding ways to work on it together. I think it's also helped me tremendously. Kate?
Yeah, I wanted to add one thing that I just remembered from driving here. I think the big takeaway, which I also wanted to make a point of this conversation personally, tech industry is so various. You just, I think I'm going to use the word have to. You just have to find a proper company where, for example, I know we are not praising OLX here, that's not the goal, but for example, a company where you are not looking for people to blame, like you are not pointing fingers. So, or you are just fixing things. I'm big believer that we are all here to do one thing, like make OLX the best product, or wherever I work. Like I just want to make the best product, and if I talk with people and I don't like the way they are trying to, go over the problem or something, I remind myself like we're all here with the same goal. We are not working, for example, in sales where I'm competing with each other. In product or in delivery, design, we are not competing with each other. So if you are thinking about tech company to work in, I think you should either switch until you find a place where everything around you, people, managers, product is a good space for you, that you don't feel. The question is, what triggers your imposter syndrome? Who triggers it? What kind of situations? Because the second thing is, of course, how to fight it. But if you are in an environment that makes it very, very often, and you feel like an imposter very, very often, maybe the environment is wrong, not you. So I think this is important.
And that's a wonderful ending remark before questions, if we have any. Let's open the floor a bit. I don't know if we have any questions on Slido, Natalia? Not yet. All right. Do we have any questions from the audience? All right. Do we need a mic? Can someone give?
I think I can manage.
All right. Awesome.
So it's less of a question, more of a comment, maybe. Ali is my manager. I was. No, it's getting to be good. I was recently facing imposter syndrome myself. My job was to get someone to do something. I didn't want to just ask. I wanted to deliver reliable data. And I had limited time, so I sent them a number of links, a number of dashboards that they could reference. And after all of that, I was still unsatisfied. I came to Ali and said, but I should have like a perfect presentation ready, and I don't know what she's going to think of me. This is really not enough. I'm just a fraud. And how could everybody trust me if I would say this?
That was not our conversation.
And I want to comment that Ali gave me really good advice that I think anybody can use. Do you think putting all of this extra effort, having this pretty presentation, would really make a difference? You did what you had to with the data you were able to, and you got what you wanted from it. And I think that's very valuable. Really ask yourself that question. Is what you're expecting of yourself really even going to make a difference? Because very often we're not.
Oh, Shimon, that was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for that comment. It was indeed beautiful. All right. Any more questions from the audience? We have a question right there. Yes?
I think I've never thought about it, to be honest.
That's true. That's true. But it's not work related. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I can't think of any achievement like specifically, but I'm not sure also if it's a characteristic trait or the fact that I'm a woman. I do feel that my like level of empathy to others and me being so tuned into what others feel, think, how they act. Of course, this is not always a help. But this does help me a little bit. And I know I can say that men are not like that, but I know it is just easier for women to tune in into the surroundings, feel out what is happening, and so on. But I think this question would be answered completely differently if we were working in a tech company that is building women products for women, something that is definitely for them. This is something where expertise of women is very important, and overall, it's very important for women to be in tech. So we are all building products that are also built by women, because right now the representation is around 30%, right, globally. And everything that we build, AI, everything, all that is mostly run by men. So I think in these kind of situations, I think we should take maybe not pride, but acknowledgement for the fact that we are women and we can make it better for the 50% of world population, basically.
All right. So first comment, Natalia, we do need microphones for the audience questions because people listening on streaming cannot hear them. So that's one comment from Slido for us as organizers. I'm sorry, something weird is happening. But then we have a question from someone watching online. What training do you recommend for someone interested in learning more about product management? Any advice on how to get started? Thanks. That's, I guess, a question to you both.
Yeah, I can start if that's okay. I recommend the Inspired. It's a book by Marty Kagan. Probably some of you heard it, some of you read it. It's a great start, and I think it's also a good baseline for anyone that would like to break into product management, because it should set the tone for any sort of product management you will be doing, because product management is not science. Each company has a different definition of what it is or what it's supposed to be in this company. So essentially, if you want to know what is the good definition of the product management and how to start thinking about it, then Inspired would be definitely a book to start with.
Oh, definitely. But I would also say something maybe controversial. Don't spend money on expensive courses. Don't do it. Because this is not science, this is not programming. And I mean, this can help you, of course, organize your thoughts, your knowledge, what you can expect. You don't need certificates. You don't need it anywhere, but find people that do it. Try to talk with them. A lot of women are interested in mentoring and helping each other. So that's one thing. Be brave enough to write to someone on LinkedIn. They might be interested in helping you too. Join these kind of sessions that are maybe more about product management, and they are free. And I know it's hard to build a portfolio. You can't have a portfolio, but look around you and check if there are some companies around you, maybe family owned, maybe friends own it, that can use the help of some kind of product management, which you can later sell in your CV as product management. So I think this can get you this scrappy way into the field, and it might require some, how do you say, like you will have to compromise a little bit at the beginning, because you do have to go to junior or associate roles, or just go to IT and try to get there from another department. A lot of teams will get your like free help at the beginning, just to let you learn, and then you can transfer later. So I'm sure you don't have to spend money to do it. I'm sure there are like plenty of books. Teresa Torres is a fantastic example. So I would also, continuous discovery, development discovery habits. Continuous discovery habits. And for women, exactly, I would say look for women in product management. Look what they have to say, because a lot of the traits that we have can set you very well in product management from the beginning.
Also, a quick comment from me, but building on what Kate said, really watch out on for the millions of boot camps that are targeting not only women, but like everyone wanting to start the career in tech. Before you spend money on them, really like think if you need to, because they are promising you gold or like money lying on the street, and maybe ask a few people who did these boot camps if they really got a job anywhere. I guess doing something for free and building like a very simple case or portfolio, and actually showing how you thought and how you solved a problem is a better solution than spending a lot of money on a boot camp that theoretically promises you a job, but practically not many people end up with one.
Person that can mentor you also, it's a good, right, as you mentioned about talking to people, and mentorship is something really good, and sometimes people do it for free, so usually.
And also like Google Academy has a lot of free courses. Some platforms have courses for like 10 euro, 20 euro, like it's not that expensive. And what I personally did, for example, I had in my early days in my CV in the certificate section, I think I had 10 or 12. They were quite simple, but I could back up what I did, which was very small, with something that I did proactively. And this won me my first job. Like I said before, like I did some effort. I showed them that I am very proactive, which is so important in product management. Like you do have to be, you have to take initiative. you have to research stuff, you have to learn things. So if you show that to the person that is recruiting, they will most likely hire you. I know cases like for myself, but also I know cases like for design, a person that had zero experience in design. They just did fabulous job at researching something, putting it together, not professionally, not in Figma, not in anything that is like super advanced tooling. And they just did it to, and I have like one A4 page of explanation. And that was enough. Like really small thing, but the show's effort is enough.
All right, I think we can move on to the next question. Have you ever had a situation when you felt like you were discriminated based on your gender, especially in tech?
It's hard to say. It's hard to firm. It, I have a story. I was in a meeting with a manager. He wasn't my manager, but I was present a report about his area, and I think he didn't like the results. What can I do? And he started yelling at me, and I said, "What?" At the point, we handled the situation. Eventually, he apologized, and everything went well. But now, not now, but after the situation, I can't help but thinking that if it was a man, he wouldn't yelling at the person, So I can affirm, so I can say, no, for sure, indeed, it is because of I am a woman. But it happens, and I I I try to understand if that was a recurring situation, but not. It happens with me, and that's it. So maybe, but I can affirm. So it's really hard to say that. I think I don't know you.
Well, in my early days, I had a lot of situations where men wouldn't shake hands with me, and they would with the men that I was with. And I've never seen that happening towards a man, so I'm sure this is a gender issue, but I was very fortunate. And also, of course, I did it on purpose. I was in companies and jobs where I worked with fabulous men that were very supportive, and I want to use the word normal, but there was no case about me being a woman or a young woman. Like, this was just not part of the conversation. And I think I'm going to say it again, just look for a company and change it until you find this kind of environment.
Not this way. One more thing, we're talking about being discriminated based on gender, and when we talk about it, we somehow think men against women, but it's basically people against people. So often I can name situations from my past when I saw that men treated women differently a bit. It didn't happen to myself, but I saw situations like that, but also that that women treated women in a worse way because, for example, of imposter syndrome, because they themselves were feeling insecure and they were like expressing certain feelings in a, let's say, not fluffy and cozy way. It happens on both sides, right? So it's not, I don't want to have this narrative that we are being discriminated by men. May happen, but also it may happen that women are worse towards women, maybe because they have higher expectations of us because we need to show the world. I don't know. There may be different reasons, right?
Yes, or because the word says that we should fight against us. I think it's not, again, it's not conscious. It's the way the society was built, I think, and I'm talking about all societies. I'm from Brazil, but I'm sure that we have the same problems in terms of being a woman. So I think it's not because women are worse when we are talking about us, but I think it can be related to that, So sometimes I'm not saying that I see women as my competitor, So maybe could be related to that as well.
Well, I can see that thinking before. When I was like early in my career, I've seen not a lot of women. So I was like, I was suspicious a little bit, let's say. But right now and from last few years, I get so much happiness and I'm so thrilled when I work with women. When I end up when I come to the meeting and I see majority of faces that are women, I'm just beyond happy, and it's never a feeling of envy or competition. It's always this is fabulous. I get to work with fantastic women, or if they are maybe lower in their career, I get to help them see that they are fantastic or they can do more. So this always brings joy in the past few years, definitely.
Should we move to another question?
Yes. Before that, do we have any more question from the audience so that you're not excluded when we talk about bias a lot? So, not right now. All right. So, Ali and Kate again. How do you deal with lack of technical background, also in the context of imposter syndrome? You need to work with developers, right? So,
yeah, we work with developers every day. First, you don't need it. You don't need technical knowledge. You do have to have basis, so just you know what people are talking about. But you are allowed to ask questions. You really are. You can be on a meeting, you can be on a daily, you can hear something about database, migration, legacy code, something is not working. You just can ask questions, truly, and mostly they will answer. And but what helped me the most was my job before this company. I worked with a engineering team that was not afraid to answer and explain. And sometimes this is the case where engineers are they are almost afraid to explain technical stuff to a product person. Maybe this scare comes from the fact that they are afraid that we will, as product managers, come into the technical way of doing things. And I've seen that happening from product managers too, and this is not something that we should be doing. But really ask questions, they will tell you. And the most things that you need to know is what does it mean for the product. You don't need to know how it is implemented, why like that and not the other way. You need to ask a question, not what is it. You can even fake that you don't know what they are talking about. It's really easy. So you can just ask what does it mean? Does it mean longer time? Does it mean that we have to change the strategy? Does it mean that you need something from me? Can I help you? That's all. This is the role of product person, even in a very tech-focused team. And I have been working with very tech teams, which I was afraid before I started, but then it turned out it's the same thing. Ali, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I agree. Second of all, I really want to, I guess, share my belief on how we should build product, and if it's not built that way, then I hope it will change. So I really believe that the only good way to build product is using Captain Planet as the example. So it's happening only if you join forces. And to join forces, you need experts. And when I'm building product together with research, analysts, designer, business, and engineering manager, or lead developer, or the team of developers. It depends, right? But essentially, you need all crafts in one room, understanding the problem, asking questions, trying to figure out the solution. And only from there, you can get something good. So the question is, I guess, to developers, how you're dealing with not being able to talk to stakeholders every day. I don't know.
It's a fabulous question. Yeah. How
Yes.
do you deal with not understanding why you are building what you are building?
So I guess that's why you need all forces, right, to actually make an impact. And for me, this is the only way. So I don't have this problem. However, I had this problem because I was a control freak. So I thought on one point that, yes, I should learn coding. But fortunately for me, I hated it. And the other thing was that it would probably take me a huge amount of time, and I would still not be able to perform as well as even an associate developer or junior developer in our company, because first of all, I will hate it. Second of all, I would not be able to learn more about it. I would try to possess the minimum knowledge and stay with that to not do more in a place that I hate. That's why I think it's really important to also love what you do, because then you're really open to learn more about it and then connect with people
Yeah, but
that can share their
said,
expertise.
we do see product roles that are designed for tech. So I am aware that there are like lead tech product manager or tech product manager. So these are a bit different, and they depend on the like field you are a product manager in. But from what I've seen and heard, it really doesn't require as much as they say in the job description. So just shoot your shot.
I just want to finish finish this question. I remember a presentation given many years ago by Hubert, also head of product right now. Yes. It was on World Usability Day or something else, I don't remember, or product camp, whatever. He was talking about a bit about imposter syndrome. We talked about whether men have it or not, and he was talking about an example when he joined this company, I think, and for a couple of days or weeks he had a lot of meetings doing the onboarding, and people used vocabulary that, you know, if you work in a company, you know what it means. If you are new to, classifieds, e-commerce, or whatever field you know a company is related to, they might be a mystery. And I remember he said he didn't know what listing means. It's basically a list of ads, like when you search for something, you end up on a listing page, so basically advertisements. But everybody kept using the word listing, and he didn't know what it was, but he was afraid to ask in the very beginning. So he went from meeting to meeting, and he just, you know, hoped that at some point he would discover just by listening. And I remember he gave it as an example, like, just ask. It's just a word in a context, like you're new to it. So it's like, you know, tell developers, okay, I'm good at something else, explain it to me, right? Let's, like, it's your expertise. So yeah, just something I remembered. But we have a heavy question right now ahead of us. What about those, and it's about discrimination based on gender, right? It's a follow-up question to the previous one. What about those who have evolved workarounds to discriminate, like remaining subtle, sneaky, and staying in the gray area in order to get away with it? I will start. If they are subtle enough, unfortunately, maybe even you don't notice, you just feel worse and worse about yourself, and that's the situation I never wish on anyone. If they're trying to be sneaky, but there are some smart people who notice it, then the case usually ends in HR. And if the company is good enough, HR does something about it. But confronting people when they are trying to use like passive aggressive behaviors because you're a different gender, that's not something I would do. I wouldn't confront them myself, to be honest. I would escalate it just to protect myself, I guess.
And then if HR doesn't solve it, you quit.
Or you change teams.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm going to say something that's not maybe very popular, but document it. If you can, document it and go to HR. Because if this person is sneaky, and it can be man and woman, it doesn't matter. If this person is sneaky, they will not, like when they are confronted, you will not probably catch that. So just try to document it as much as you can. And just, if you are in a good company, HR and your manager will handle that for you, and they should. This is not your circus. This is not your fight to fight. And if it impacts your mental stability, go on sick leave, and let them handle it for you. This is not something that you should be getting from a company. This is not the way to go.
Amen, sister. Anything to add? No. Okay. How would you react to a situation where a client, a man, calls you during a meeting a girl, dziewczynko in Polish, And you are the only woman at that meeting.
So I'm the only woman, but there are other people.
I guess so.
Well, I hope I would say, like, could you please repeat? Like, did I hear you well or did I not? But I am perfectly aware that we are not going to confront these kind of people like on the go, and also men and women. But I think women especially might be a bit of afraid and or shocked so much by it. But then if it happened once, then I don't think I would like to put myself in a position to be with this person again in a meeting. So like just one red flag is enough, I think. But I know it's hard. I know it's not easy to go through with these kind of situations and report them or confront people.
I would be afraid if they speak like that they wouldn't understand any normal reaction or arguments. So I probably would do nothing and just be super professional for the rest of the meeting to show them that it doesn't bother me, I guess. I don't know. That's one thing. It depends how often you have to handle this person.
Yeah, for me, I don't know the meaning of the religion. Oh, I know it's girl, but I
It's a
don't know
girl.
the if it is bad or not. But
It's the meaning.
okay,
So
that's
it's like
the
a
point.
little girl.
Like little girl.
Okay, okay.
It's
Because that's the point. I know that there are a lot of women that doesn't like to the girl stuff. But for example, and I needed to control myself because it's a cultural thing. In Brazil, and I know that even Brazilians don't like that. I used to use a lot girl and boys when we are, the boys from my team, the girls from my team. But it's not because we are saying that they are baby or something like that. It's the way we handle. And when I moved to Portugal and a peer of mine said, it's not bad, I know, because I know that you're saying that because it's cultural. But there are a lot of people that don't like. But that's the point. I to be honest, it's not something that affect me, and that's the reason I don't know. Probably I will try to understand the meaning behind that girl, because if the person say, the girl will take, I don't know, you do it, okay, but if the meaning it's something trying to, I don't know, minimize my skills or something like that, I think I would try to confront, maybe, but yes, I don't know.
Maybe it's a cultural difference.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I wouldn't confront them. I
I
guess.
think I don't know if it is a good approach, but sometimes I try to use joke as a way to handle those situations. So I would say, okay, girls and boys, I would say something to make sure the person understand that I didn't like the situation. I would say, but I've never faced this situation, but I would say that I would confront.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there are men on a meeting that can react to it. For the people that are not from Poland, like this is not very inclusive way to say, like little girl. This is very negative way to say, especially to a grown woman in a professional setting. But I think any way is good that will help you protect your own boundaries and what you accept or not. So either you decide to confront this person or you just want to joke or you want to do anything, this is okay because you get to keep your your limits and your boundaries, and you can just correct this person. And of course it grows to a bigger problem if this person starts to like joke for you because you are hysterical or dramatic or anything of sorts. But then I hope any that had this situation can just exit themselves from having this kind of interactions with this person. And then it again comes to a job and company. Like, don't work in companies where this is the case and they hire this kind of people. I think this is it says a lot about company as well.
Yeah, I also would probably confront this person. So I guess I'm from Brazil now, and yeah, I would probably make a joke like the last time I was called that I was free. But sure, again, I agree with Kate fully. So if you can, don't work for this company or don't work with this person. If you have to, and you can, embrace it and confront this person, or start calling this person little boy. Definitely something I would probably do. So, yeah.
Exactly. I would say, oh boy, probably.
All right. We're getting another interesting question. What about double standard when it's okay for men to behave a certain way, but women are considered aggressive when they behave the same way?
I would love to start if that's okay, Kate, because I'm definitely considered aggressive, and well, I'm okay with that. I really try to be fair. I really try to help others and help them make an impact or grow them, and adjust to feedback as much as I can. At the same time, if I disagree with something, I disagree. I'm a vocal person, so I already told you I will confront people. I ask questions like, where are you have this data from? So I understand that I can be considered an aggressive person. At the same time, probably for men, we will probably use the word a man in a meeting,
Assertive. Assertive.
right? Or assertive. It depends. It depends on the context, right? Probably assertive
Self-confident.
or confident. Yeah, but at the same time, well, it's not like we will reinvent the wheel. And still, if you will look at boards of 500 fortunes, you will see white, elderly men sitting at the table. So it's not like the whole world changed and we have free women, sorry, here in the panel. So now there's some sort of balance. I think the good approach here is to try to be as much you as possible, as good for others as possible, and adjust if possible, right? And if somebody else is calling you aggressive and you really know you were not, you were just really confident of what you're asking for, then that's on them. And hopefully you can handle it and deal with it.
I wish I could hear you when I was beginning my journey, because I received feedback saying when I started to work that I was too aggressive, and the guys was afraid of working with me. And this changed a lot the way I communicate. And I faced challenge in terms of communication because of that feedback. And I'm talking about 2006, so 17 years ago, and I still face this challenge because I started to adapt my communication, start to be less self-confident in order to be I don't know, accepted or to avoid see as an aggressive person. So this is really important. It's a really important advice.
Well, this boils my blood a little bit because I see it. I do that myself as well, like catering my communication style, making sure that I am not heard as too aggressive, too assertive, and I hate it. I really hate it because it takes some another level of empathy and making sure that you are not treated in or understood in a different way. But I think, like Alicia said at the beginning, we are not going to change the world right now. So I guess this is how we roll. Like, we just have to adjust a little bit. But, well, this happens all the time. Like, I am being called assertive and very, like, straight to the point outside of work, too. And it has more impact on me than on people, on men that are the same. So this is an issue for sure, but like, is there anything that you can do? Like, at the end of the day, I will look in the mirror and I'm gonna think, was I kind? Was I respectful of others? And if I'm okay with that personally, so be it. I'm gonna sit in my aggressiveness for the rest of the days.
Great.
I'm sorry. Okay. All right. This is something that we already were meant. My microphone is going crazy. Were meant to talk about a little bit. I feel like women are less aggressive when fighting for promotions. Should we do something about it on a system level, or should women learn to fight more? Let me just start from my perspective as a woman. When I had my business, I told you, so I could promote myself, but it was an easy fight. But then I went to work for someone else, and to me, first it was obvious that if I'm doing a good job, people will notice, and they will promote me when the time is right. Well, it doesn't happen, guys. Not really, right? I had to go and say, hey, but I did this, and this. I would like to be considered for a promotion. And I don't know if it's good or bad. I would love people just to notice, but it doesn't happen. So I had to learn it, but it's very unnatural for me to bring the cards to the table and to say, hey, I deserve it. Give it to me. And to collect arguments. I don't know. For me, it feels unnatural, but I do it to fit in and to fight for myself because, But I don't know if this should be the way, or whether we should fit in, or whether the system should change.
Can I say both? Because I totally agree. So I can share my perspective here. As a manager, I can promise you that what I'm doing right now with everybody in my team is together we are creating individual development plans. We are looking through description of the role, making sure that we understand it, and at the same time, I'm learning them to have proof for each and everything that they did. So in the end, when they are asking for promotion or asking for a raise, they have a file that has a structure and evidence of what they delivered. And here, I guess the biggest problem is imposter syndrome that we already talked about, because a lot of people think about a lot of things differently. So when I was giving some examples of, hey, you delivered this and that, and people were like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I did that, but I was not even sure it was important. I really believe this is on manager and this is on companies to hire people that first and foremost are willing to be great managers, and their biggest success is to grow other people and not grow themselves or get hired for a better promotion. This is on companies, and this is the systematic way we should help deliver to help people grow. On the same time, honestly, this is on each and everybody to figure out what they want to do, to make sure they understand what they delivered, because you're paying attention to your movie because you're a star in this movie. But if I'm working with 6 people, I have 6 stars. So I would need to be in 6 places at the same time to see what you're seeing, and I would still not even encounter half of what you're encountering because I'm seeing the impact, the presentation, the last presentation, right? So not even the first draft or the second draft or all the work that had to be done to actually deliver the first draft. So I'm not in your head. You have to help me understand what was in your head, where we started, what was the opportunity behind it, what was your way of thinking, and in the end, what was the impact that you delivered together with your team. If you can't help me understand that, I can't help sell this to everybody else that will have to believe it and also vote for you to get promoted. So what I'm trying to say here is, please do it yourself, and please work in companies that are hiring people that are willing to also help you do that.
There's a really interesting article from a software engineer, and in the article she explained how to create your own brag document. I know that brag can be a bit weird, but it's a good thing. And I try to share it with my team. I said, create your own brag document. Then you can, it's good also to try to overcome the imposter syndrome, but also to help us to fight for a promotion or something like that. So I can share the link, the article of the link of this article, and then you can take a look. It's really good. Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed, but this is not directed to women, like this advice.
No,
because personally, I'm not sure if men are actually better at doing that. Are they actually getting promoted more, or are there just more men? I'm not sure in a workplace. But it's exactly what Alicia and Camila said. Like, you are your own fighter. So if you don't fight your fight, this will not happen. However, I was fighting for a promotion for 4 years, and I think I was aggressive enough. I'm pretty sure. I documented everything. I was very upfront about what I'm trying to do. Like mentioned before, getting to as many opportunities as I can, doing much more than my counterparts. And it still didn't happen because the manager or managers weren't at the same place as Alicia said they should be. That's why I think definitely it's systemic. And companies do have to hire good managers. And I don't think, in my experience, that companies do enough effort. I think this is minimized. The importance of a good manager, they have to be good people person. They have to be people manager. They can't be there for their own gain, just for them. So my experience in that area is that if you don't have a good manager, it will not happen even if you shout from the highest mountain. This will not happen. Like, you have to be your own advocate, and if it doesn't happen, I'm a scratched record, but change jobs.
Okay, before we move on, Natalia, do we still have time to keep on discussing, or should we maybe move the rest of the questions to the networking event? What do you think? I need some advice. One last question. Okay. Oh, okay. That's an easy one. No, I'm kidding. How do you deal with a situation when a man keeps actively excluding you from a discussion about a feature you are leading, and they keep addressing men instead? HR.
I'm not sure if I am the best person, but I probably will interrupt the conversation. Said, oh, can I answer this question? Can I participate? But it's hard. I think first, sometimes it's hard to confront the people. At least I already supported some human that faced this situation. So what I can say is share this with a person that you trust, your manager, and ask for help. Make sure that the situation will be known by who should be known about that. So basically, that's it.
Well, I don't know if you've had situations like this, because I personally can't think of it, because I'm the one leading the conversations always, if they are mine to lead. So I think it would be difficult for a man or a woman that are not a leader in the topic to just take it away from under me. So I couldn't, but I see that Camila and Alice are nodding, so you had situations like this.
Well, maybe not me directly again. I'm a little bit Brazilian, and I was also usually leading the conversation. So I don't recall any type of situation when that happened to me. At the same time, right now, I'm also helping a person that was in this situation, and that goes back to what Camila said. If you don't feel like fighting this kind of fight, and you trust another person that is a person that can do something about it, it's from HR or is your manager, share. And as a manager, I'm here to fight those kinds of fights for you.
Sometimes a peer, because if you trust your peer, that person can help you to decide what you should do, because it's hard. It is hard. As I said, I've heard about these cases like that. So yeah.
All right. So we can cover the rest of the questions in the informal discussions than in the networking event. But before we do that, I have one last question on my magical list. If you could give one or like 2 or 3 advice for girls or women who think about a career in tech, what would it be? Just like summarizing the meeting.
Don't give up. And try to find people that can help you and share a bit about the area.
How hard can it be? Boys do it. Just go for it. Just go for it. You can do it, and it's not that complicated. And if a society, family, or friends tell you otherwise, find other.
Find other family, yes.
So as you can see, I just like throw away the negativity everywhere. But it's really not complicated. Like, of course, more technical roles, programming, like this is, of course, much more difficult, science and so on. But we can really do it. I'm sure there's a different conversation for women that have children, and it's a bit different, and I can't say anything about it. But just try. If it doesn't work, what's the worst thing that can happen, right? Just try. Maybe you don't like it. Maybe you want to go there, and you think you can't, but you don't really like it, and you will try to find another thing. That's also a possibility.
Yeah, that's just what I wanted to say. Don't be afraid to explore and change your mind, just like in my case. We live in a system which tells us we need to have our lives figured out at 19 and go to the university and then do stuff. Well, who knows what they are going to do for the next 60 years when they are 19, right? It's okay to change your mind and to explore. So just building on that.
Yeah. So I guess my tips will be more like a to-do list for you. If you're thinking about breaking into tech, then or any other job, really. First point should be know your strengths. What are you selling, really, right? So, okay, I don't know how to code. What can I do well? I don't know. Okay, I will ask my friends. I have no friends. Okay, I will go to Facebook and look for people that will tell me what's wrong with me, so I know that possibly there's a second part that is not wrong with me, and maybe I can advertise that. But really, know your strengths, at least 3, right? And that's the first part. And the second part, we were here referring to finding a mentor or finding somebody in tech, but if I can suggest something, find a person that was new to this pretty like a year ago or 2 years ago, and not me or Camila like 20 years ago or 10 years ago, right? Because right now, I'm using a lot of lingo when I'm trying to explain the situation, because in my head, everything is already there, and there are shortcuts that I'm using to get to the point, because even if I'm not assuming and I'm trying to be respectful of others, I'm cutting to the chase, assuming that everybody else will understand. So you need to find a person that just finished this journey or is in between jobs but tried it, and they knew what are you talking about when you are explaining your difficulties and your issues or your concerns. Obviously, everybody else can be also helpful, but if you're looking for the best person to help you at the very beginning and understand your situation, I will look for a junior person that was going through what you were going right now and not that long ago.
I would just add one thing, like your problems are not unique. And I know we want to think like it, But if you read about it, hear a podcast, find a person, and I think this is fantastic advice from Alicia to find a person that was going through it recently. You are not unique in your problems and your imposter syndrome and everything. People will have the same story to say, and you will feel better, and you will find some kind of resolution for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone online who is also here with us asking questions as well. We can finish this part of the meeting, and now let's eat and drink and talk. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.